Okay. Hello, everyone. It is almost time. I'm a few minutes early for the first live of the last day. Just because sometimes it takes me a few seconds for the live to show up on my laptop. So I wanted to come on a few minutes early for it to show up instead of wasting, there I am, wasting time after I have come live. And I need to turn, there we go. I could hear myself talking too, so I had to turn that down. I must have been watching something last night. Okay, so I'm gonna adjust this a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna finish this leopard. How we're finishing it is we're gonna take this azure, which it's what the spots are. So it's a really dark navy, almost black. I'm gonna take a little bit of it. And I'm gonna mix it with a little bit of white to kind of make a light grayish blue. Mix it together. So this really nice gray blue. Some people should be popping on here in just a second. So I'll wait a few more minutes. Okay, so we got this nice gray blue that we mixed up. I mixed up. Okay. And it is going to be the shadow, kind of like there's a shadow that was around the leopard, and I drew that in. And the reason I want to include that is because then it really makes that leopard pop out, because it's kind of, I think the background is actually a little bit darker than when I did it the first time, and I think it's because I diluted the paint a little bit. So I wanted to make this shadow a little bit lighter than the spots on the leopard, but to paint that in just so it makes that leopard really pop off the page a little bit better. So I just took that azure that I used for the spots, which is that really dark navy, and mixed some white with it to make this really light, well, it's not real light, but it's kind of a navyish gray color. So, but it's just enough lighter that it doesn't blend in with the leopard. It just kind of, there. And so there is a shadow over here. So I'm just gonna turn this and I'm gonna paint the shadow over here. Probably going to end up getting a smaller brush to get closer to in those little creases. I can usually do pretty good with a straight brush getting into small places, but sometimes not. So I did the spots last night. I did a few of them. If you remember, I did a few of them live. And then after the live, I went and did the rest of them because I'm essentially painting spots. You don't want to sit here all night and just watch me paint spots. I wanted to kind of move on to some other things, knowing I could finish them off camera and you essentially would know what I was doing. So I did that after I ended the live last night. And where is my little is, I did that off camera after I ended the live last night, just because, you know, like I said, after you see me kind of paint a few, I mean, it's just painting the spots. So I went ahead and did those off camera just so I would be ready for today. I did show how to make these little drips with the Azure mixed with some Liquitex gel medium. I did add a little bit of gel medium in that bottle because it wasn't really dripping the way I wanted to. Yes, I love this leopard too. I think I could paint all animals like this and love every single one. So maybe that's an idea I'll do. Because I love doing animals anyway, and I really like how it's turned out, and that's why I wanted to do it again in this workshop, because I loved the layering and just the kind of the profile of the leopard with only the spots painted in. Just really kind of made it a really neat painting. So maybe I could do a giraffe and a zebra and, other things with only print on them, I guess. Like their coat is printed. I could do a tiger. I could do all sorts. I'm certain of it, and just be thrilled to do that all day. Anything with kind of a printed coat would be really neat done this way. And they would all be completely different, because even if you do the background essentially like maybe the same colors, maybe the same stencils, they're still all going to be very different. Same but different. So you can maybe do a series and hang them all together on your wall. So that's a good idea too. All right, and that is, see how it just makes that leopard pop a little bit more with just having that little bit of shadow around it, versus if you just had the outline of the leopard, it kind of blends into the background. But if you put that shadow in behind it, it really makes it kind of stand out a little better. So we are all done with the leopard. So fun. I'll post pictures in the group. Also, kind of let me know. I haven't decided on the videos whether I'm going to upload them onto YouTube or not, or just let them expire, because like I don't know if I would really upload all the tracers or not. But let me know if you just, are fine with rewatching the videos, or if you want me to upload them to YouTube so you can have them later. I mean, really, this workshop was just kind of to watch me, my process, and my words are not coming to me again today. To watch my process and learn my teaching style, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So I want to get her finished today, this morning, because I want to be able to show you the putting the stencil back on this evening. So I want to get her finished. I did find a couple of more blues that I haven't used yet, so I am going to do that with the blues that I have not used. Okay, I maybe could have used that blue if I wouldn't have cleaned it off, but oh well. All right, so we're going to continue with this beautiful lady. And this is probably my favorite of the whole workshop. I really like how she's turning out. I mean, I liked the red one too, but really this one is, I don't know, I'm really loving it. So I'm going to use, not that one. I'm going to use this Newport blue. It's kind of a purpley blue color. So it'll be a good contrast to some of those more royals and kind of, I don't know, Dutch blue, denim blue. Well, I know I'm gonna need more than that for to do the stripe also. So we talked about last night that I am gonna, I'm gonna do her lips red. I really think that'll really just turn out neat to have that contrast of just her lips. So I did decide I'm gonna totally do that. Can you guys still hear me? Am I still live? Am I still live, Christina? Oh, there. Maybe I am. Okay. My camera went black for a minute and it said waiting for video signal on my computer, so I'm not sure what happened. So it might have skipped out on your end too. It froze, but now, yeah, I don't know why it did that. My camera went black, which it's never done that before. So hopefully it's not going to be an issue going forward. I'm actually going to just paint in this whole section of her face here. Because since I'm running out of colors, I don't want to leave too much unpainted and then try to decide what color I'm going to paint the spaces that were open. So okay, I'm going to start on the stripe. I'm going to put it right here and make it kind of wider because, again, I only have a couple of colors left and I want to make sure I can't wait to finish her and show you guys the process of putting that stencil back over it, because I kind of use the same process of instead of joint compound, I'm going to use the modeling paste to put the stencil on, so it's raised like the kind of like you would use a palette knife, but on a stencil it just makes the stencil area raised, and it's really neat to do that. So I can't wait to show you that. I am struggling a little bit. I think I'm going to use white on what color to use, because I had intended on using like that dark blue navy that I used on the leopard, but I think it's going to blend in too much and not show up very well. So I'm thinking I might just use white because I think that will just show up the best. So we'll see when I'm all finished and start, like when all the white is gone, it'll be easier to tell whether I should use white or maybe a dark navy. I wish I could use silver. I think that would be really pretty. But when you mix silver or any metallic with joint compound or modeling paste, it kind of takes the metallic out of it, so it kind of loses its effect. I tried that with the red one just to see if it would work, and it just made it gray. It didn't stay silver, so I'm not even gonna waste my time, because I know it's not gonna work. The only way it would work is if I go back over it with like silver paint with a brush, but that's gonna it'll ruin the effect of it for sure. Won't be as crisp. So I'll probably use white, but we'll see how it looks when all of it's done here. Not sure if that's quite the same width, but it'll, since it's separated by her face, it won't be a big deal if it's not. Won't be very noticeable. Okay, so I'll let that dry while I go back over the face parts. I was gonna see if we can get some more people on. I don't usually like using the at everyone or at followers, just because I know myself, I get annoyed with that feature. So I try not to use it very much, but I was gonna use it today to see if we could get some more watchers and followers. But I know, like, during the day, unless you're retired, it's hard for people to watch during the day. So hopefully we'll have maybe some more this evening if some people aren't able to join today. You have an advantage, Christina, because you're retired. You can show up whenever you want, right? But like I said the other day, my mom, who's retired now, and now her husband's retired too, they're busier now than they were before they, when they worked. And I know a lot of people say that. So I'm going to come in over here. I don't really like how this... Kind of make that look a little different. But since you were a teacher, Christina, did you have summers off, or did you do summer school when you taught? Because I know that's really a big deal now. When I was in school, of course, summer school was for people who weren't making the grade or needed extra credit to graduate or something. But now summer school is just like a kind of fun for kids. So it's really a big deal now. This week I've been getting ready for my art camp. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of computer work too, trying to figure out a few last minute things, making sure all my emails are scheduled, and making sure I have plenty of Facebook activity that's going on, getting ready for my launch. So I've been doing a lot of computer work, and then I had to set up my new subscriber emails, and I'm not even sure if they're going to work. So I'm kind of stressed about that. So we'll see. You guys will be my guinea pigs for sure from the workshop. Anyone that subscribes today, hopefully I'll get to figure out if that email flow is going to work, because since it doesn't have like the sign up form, like it does for email waiting lists, such things, I don't know how it's triggered from Klaviyo. So all the things that kind of give me anxiety and stress me out. Right. I agree on the no summer school. If I would have been a teacher, I'd have been like, nope, no, thank you. Okay, so we're about done with this last color. Okay. So she's getting closer. It's so exciting. I just love her. I know you do too, Kristen. I know you've made several comments about how much you like her. So, but she's turning out really cool. I really like her. Were you able to find the stencils, or did you even look yet? Because like I said, I'm pretty sure I saw that I got them from Amazon, and I haven't looked either, like my past orders or whatever. Oh yeah, that traveling ball can keep you very, very busy for sure. I was fortunate that my kids didn't really do that. So my daughter only played softball through her 8th grade year. And so she didn't really get into the traveling aspect too much. My son, he was kind of funny. He played t-ball. And the first year he played t-ball, he really liked it. And then when they went to their first game, he's like, can I just practice? I don't like the games. And I'm like, that's really odd. Usually it's the opposite. And so when he figured out he had to do games, he didn't want to play anymore. So I was like, that's really odd, because most of the time it's, you know, they don't want to go to practice. They'd rather just play a game. So we kind of chuckled about that a little bit. But yeah, we were like, yeah, that's kind of the whole point. You have to play the games. That's the point of practice. And so he was like, yeah, I don't really want to play if I have to have games. So of course we made him, you know, finish the first year. But then after that, he remembered. He's like, nope, I don't want to do that. And then he didn't, he wasn't really into sports. He liked FFA and those kind of things. Once he got in high school, he was more of a farm kid. It's really hard when you get to the end and try to figure out where you want to put these last little bits of color. Because if some of the colors are similar, which I think is why I originally didn't have this color used, because it was similar to this other color. And I'm gonna leave a little space there where I can fit a lighter color in between those two. And then I'll put this stripe here. How many colors do I have left? think it would be easier to do this if you kind of either paint little swatches of the colors you've used, because then like I would like to go back and do some of those other colors, but I don't know which one is which. Or kind of plan where you want lights and darks on the face before you start, because then you kind of get like you don't know where to put more color is the only thing about it. I still just think it's nice that it's just very random, and I like how she's turning out anyway. Yes, my son, oh my God. Oh, you registered for the portrait class with a vet. Yeah, you're gonna love it. But yeah, look for the stencils. I'm pretty sure it's on Amazon. And I don't even know, like, you could probably just type in face stencils or silhouette stencils maybe. I don't really know how to even search for them because they randomly showed up, like I said, when I typed in skeleton. So I'm not even sure how to tell you. Maybe I'll look later and I can send you the link. All right, so moving on to another color. I'm gonna do the sapphire color because I don't think I've done it yet. I'm really not sure. Yeah, this is totally completely random, and I like it that it is random. And I have the stencil laying down here beside me, trying to refer back to it to see like where I absolutely need to put more color and where is actually like the stencil, because like this piece under her nose, her eyelashes, and then where the lips are, what is left of that is basically stencil, except for I'll put the red on her lips here in a second. But most of the rest that I've left white is going to be covered up with stencil. So I'm almost done. Something else that would be really cool on this if you were going to seal it is I use it sometimes on paintings when I want it to just give it a little extra bling, is I have Mod Podge that sparkle. So it just has little flecks of kind of glitter in it. That would be really pretty if you sealed it with that, where it would kind of shimmer even. So I might do that even though it's on paper, just because. I'm gonna paint this little part here. I'm not sure. So, except for the lips, which again, I'm gonna do in the red, I think she's all finished. And then I'm gonna do a different blue color for this last stripe because this blue that I just used is too close to this, these two colors that I have to go between. So I'm gonna put this back in the bottle because I got too much expecting to use it for the stripe. but I'm going to use this little, this French blue, light blue color for that stripe because it'll be the best to go in between those two royalish colors. And then we'll do the red and it's all finished. I debated on putting a flower up here. I'll probably set it aside after I do the red and see how much time is at the end. If I have time, we'll add a flower, or I might just do it off camera because I really liked the flower on the other one. So I'll probably, if I do it, I might just do it off camera depending on how much time we have, because there's a couple of other ones we need to finish. Okay. Isn't she so pretty? Okay. So, put this back. I'm going to get this red, and I'm actually using a red that's called Lipstick Red. It's a bright, bright red because I think that's the best of the choices for it to really pop, is for it to be a bright, bright red. Okay. Fingers crossed. I mean, we can always cover it up, but hopefully this is going to be as cool as we think. I don't even have to go right up to the edge because I know part of that is covered with stencil, but unless I lay it up here, I don't know which part is stencil and which part is lip, so. Let me just grab it. Okay. Oh yeah, it's gonna be so pretty. I love that red on there. Probably would be easier. I might do this next time, and Christina, I'll give you this as a suggestion. So when I traced the stencil, I only went along one side of it just because I knew I didn't need to trace the whole thing. But I wonder if it would be better if you trace, you know, the whole thing, just so it's more clear where the actual stencil is, because I did not do that. It might be more helpful when you paint it if you actually do the whole, like all the lines of the stencil, if that makes sense. Oh, look at that. I love that. I really love the red a lot. It really makes it pop. And then once I get the white stencil, because I do think I'm going to use white, I think the dark navy is just going to blend too much. So I think I'll use white for the overlay. Yeah. And I probably will touch up my lines a little bit just because I'm trying to go fast. They're kind of sloppy. But after I get the stencil on, I'll probably touch my lines up a little bit. But in here, I don't worry about them being super straight because the stencil kind of covers up the lines a little bit. So that's why I don't worry about being too perfect about crossing over lines and such, because I know most of it's going to be overlapped by the stencil. Okay, so since I do think I'm going to do a flower, I think I'm going to make the middle of the flower red. So I'm going to go ahead and paint that since I have the red out. This is when I needed my gray, huh? Trying to cover up that dark blue. That dry a little bit. Yeah, the stencil part really makes it pop for sure. And especially I think if I use white, it'll really pop it off of the page. Because like I said, I think that the dark blue is just going to blend in too much. Even if I used black, I think it's just going to blend in a lot and not show up very well. So does look like I need a little bit of some little blue in here because there's a little, I'm talking to myself, sorry. There's a little piece that's not covered by the stencil in there, so I was like, I better put a little bit of blue something there just so it doesn't look like a sore thumb sticking out. Yeah, I think the flower, really makes it, and I'll probably just add it later. But since I had the red out, I wanted to go ahead and get this middle on. Okay, all done. We're all done with that one. Okay, so I'll set her aside to dry, and then tonight at 6, we'll finish her up. And you can see the finishing touch of her for sure. Now, the next thing I'm gonna do, we're gonna work on this crackle thing. I don't know if I'll get it finished. We'll see how tonight goes. So I'm gonna start first with these, I gotta find my right brush here. The bigger flowers that are on here because I used a different technique to make them. So I wanna kind of show you that technique. that I wanted. I want this one. And I want this one. This one. Okay, so I'm going to put these back so I don't get confused. No confusion, no confusion. Okay, so like I said, I use a different technique to make these bigger flowers. So one's right here and one's right here. So I want to kind of show you how I did those. So for this one up here, I used kind of a smaller brush. It's a number 2 in my liner brush series, but you know, I have learned that it just depends on what brand you have, what number they are. So, but what I did is I just started making loops. They can overlap, they don't have to overlap. And I used multiple colors of blues. I kind of drew in where my flowers were going to be just so I would have a reference, but it'll essentially be covered up. And then I'll use a different color. Like I have 4 colors out here of blues. And then on this flower over here, I did straight lines. Kind of like a spider mum, I guess, is kind of what I envisioned. And I just went very random. Again, I used multiple colors of blue. I did kind of go back on each one and make the lines a little more solid, because they kind of, as you can see when you go across, it kind of loses some of the paint. But I just started doing these random straight lines. It looks kind of goofy right now, but when I get the extra colors in there, you'll see how. I think I'm going to switch to a different brush too. This one's annoying me because it's not making a full. It's just annoying me. It's not making a full stroke, and it's. So maybe if I use this one and do sideways, yeah, that's going to be better. And then when you use different colors too, you can vary the lengths. So I'll lay that one aside. And again, I don't worry about rinsing my brush when I'm doing the same colors, just because it looks fine if they kind of blend together. So I'm going to get a different blue color. I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to go make some more loops. I'm going to make them a little bigger, a little longer, I guess, not necessarily bigger. And then kind of what I did when I got the got all the loops in is I went back and got filled in some of the loops with one of the colors to kind of just make it, some of the petals kind of stand out on the loop one, not on the straight one, obviously. Yeah, this brush definitely works a lot better. The nice thing about being random is if it goes right over the same line as another color, it still works. It's not a big deal. Still makes it look very dimensional. So then we're gonna get another color. This one. Okay. And I just kind of, even though I'm using the same colors, I alternated between the two because to give, you know, each one a little bit of time to dry so the colors don't really mix. So I just went back and forth between the two most of the time. And sometimes they still blend it a little bit, but I didn't worry about it. But once you start making the loops and you get into more colors, you can kind of tell where, if you want to be less random and kind of fill in some of the holes. That's kind of what I did. So as you can see, I'm starting to go a little slower with my loops, trying to be a little more strategic with placement. So I'll move on back over here to this one. Okay. And the last color I'm going to use is this light French blue. And then I'll go back over some of the loops with the other colors just so it is very random and, you know, like all of the light blues are not on top. So I'll go back with some of the darker blues again. But the light blue really stands out when you add it against all of those darker blues. I'm going to go ahead and fill in some of these spots here so you can kind of see what I was talking about. And I'll do that with all of the colors when I go back and repaint in some of the darker ones. But just randomly coloring in a few of those loops kind of makes it pop a little more. Okay. Now I'll go back with some of these other colors and kind of bring them back to the front. So I'm going to start with this darker one. And I do I'm kind of more selective with where I paint these, just because I do want them to kind of stand out a little more. So I don't go as fast. You know, I kind of pick and choose which loops I want to make more bold. Because you do want them to appear like they're more forward. Then I'll use this color to pick a few loops to color in. And as you can see, I don't necessarily do the whole loop. I just do a portion of it, as if, you know, the petals are covered up from the front. So, but it just kind of helps the flower stand out a little bit more if you paint in some of those areas. Okay, now I'll go back over here with some dark. Keep picking up the wrong brush for that one, and it's again just a few little strokes to make it not seem like all of the light is in the front and all the dark is in the back. You kind of want to make it a little more dimensional. I'll do this cobalt color again. Let's see. It's just a fun little different way to make some flowers. You know, it seems like I tend to make the same two kind of flowers a lot, so I was trying to come up with a different flower, and I thought, well, this might be kind of fun. Oopsies. So then I'm going to take this last color and I'm just going to paint in some of these areas that are kind of looking messy. that you want to leave kind of the loop look for the most part, just because it makes it, you know, more dimensional, more aesthetically pleasing, I guess. Okay, so I'm done with that flower. Yeah, it's a fun technique just for something different. Not too stressful. Go back over this other last flower with a few of these colors again. I think I might have went too far on that one. It kind of looks, I don't know. I don't like it as well, but it's fine. Okay. And then when I get a yellow or an orange out, I'll do like some middles in there just to kind of clean them up a little bit too. So we're done with this. This has to dry, and I do want to get to this, back to this wine glass one and do a few more things on it to kind of show you. Oopsies. So I went ahead and put these colors up here. I did another color of the joint compound on this flower. And then I left these because I was going to show you kind of what I do with when I use texture in my paintings. Because sometimes I will, you know, do this where I add another layer with a different, kind of a different color. And then sometimes I will pick a coordinating color. Just need a little bit. So I picked up this, I used all my small brushes here. I need another small brush for this. So for this honeysuckle, I kind of picked this little peachish color. So I'm just going to dip my brush in there, not have a lot of paint on it, but I'm just going to kind of scrape across that texture and pick up a few highlights just by hitting that texture with your brush with a little bit lighter color. And then when that is dry, then I go over it with a white and another palette knife, and it hits more random than with your brush, and it'll add a few more highlights too. You can also do it like with black. If you want to have shadows instead of highlights, you can use black or a dark navy and with your palette knife, and it'll kind of pick up just random parts of your flower because it's textured. So you can do that also. And not everyone does this when they do palette knife. I just think it makes the world of difference in the way it looks when it's finished. If you use a little bit of other colors and kind of make it stand out a little bit. With the yellow, I am just going to use white, I think, because I don't, maybe I'll just use this and mix it a little bit with the white. I don't have a light, like I need like a banana yellow, but I'll just mix a little white in this yellow. But you don't want very much paint on your brush, so make sure you kind of scrape it off a little bit. Because you're just very lightly touching it. So now I will take another light lavender. Do the same thing over here with the purple one. Maybe, there we go. Couldn't get my paint to come out. I'm going to go back to the dark purple to go over that lighter. Ooh, got a little bit too much there. But it just kind of makes it, you know, more, I don't know what the word is. It just makes it kind of pop a little more. So then I'll take my white. I use a pretty large palette knife when I do this too. I'm going to take the dark purple first since it's already in my tray. And you don't want a lot of paint on there. And then you just kind of scrape over and it'll just pick up the edges that are tall, I guess. So I'm going to do it first with purple on this one. Then I'll just wipe that off. And I'll get me some white in here. Oh, thanks, Louise. You can totally watch the replay. I mean, it's been very random. I've been doing a lot of different, you know, I've worked on 3 different paintings and done 3 like totally different things. So you're not late. So I just kind of scrape my palette knife over. And it just picks up the raised edges of where you have the mud or the joint compound, and it just makes them stand out a little more. So that's all I'm going to do on those. I did notice though, I forgot to put a little bit of highlight on my little viney leaves out here. So I'm going to use this light yellow that I already have mixed up and kind of just going to paint a little dot line on those just so they kind of stand out a little more. They kind of blend in with that background a little bit. So just kind of painting a little stripe on there gives it makes it stand out a little more. Just like the light's hitting it a little bit. Sewing is important for you, Louise. So I totally get it. You got to use your time wisely. Okay, so see the difference it really made in those vines? They really stand out now just by putting that little bit of yellow on there. Yeah, it really does make a big difference when you just put a little bit of a stroke of a different color to kind of make it pop a little more. So I always try to, I think it comes from my bout of doing more realistic painting where you do a lot of shadows and highlights and shadows and highlights. And but it, even like when you do whimsical paintings, it just makes a huge difference if you use some darks and lights on there. So I am going to use this purple and kind of hit these yellows a little bit. Just to kind of add a little bit of interest, a little more interest there. There. So this painting is done except for I have to finish the stem of the glass. I'm not really worried about finishing that with you. I did want to do, what was the other thing? Oh, I'll bring this over here. The cute bird play on words. Yeah, that's with the help of Chat GPT. I was talking to Christina last night about the Chat GPT, and because she was talking about that part is kind of daunting, and I was like, girl, just use Chat GPT. So I write out my email and then I copy it into Chat GPT and say, please use a few puns or whatever, and so then it essentially, it's still my email. It's still in my words, but it'll replace certain words with birds, bird related, nest related, flock related. So it really was kind of fun to see what they come up with. And you could probably do the same thing with your sewing pattern boxes. You could, if you just put it in Chat GPT and say, I think the exact wording I use is, please help me with email copy for, I said, fill your nest subscription box, and using a few puns. And then I put email copy, quote, I copied what I had already written and then put end quote, basically. And then it like within seconds, it just rewrites what it uses what you wrote and puts in. Yeah, so it is very clever. I've learned to love it. I saw some people talking about like paying for it, and I'm like, why would you pay for it? It's free. But I guess if you use it all day long, like some people use it for everything, like create a picture using this or whatever, which I think Christina is how she got my my logo, because Christina's the one responsible for fancying up my logo. But I didn't know there was a paid option, and at first I was like, why would you pay for it? It's free. But I guess if you use it constantly, it'll block you after a certain amount of time. Like you can only use the free version for so many times a day, but I don't really know. I don't use it that often. I use it when I want to write something and I want to change a few words or make it grammatically correct, because I'm not the best at that sometimes. So that's what I use it for. So I don't really use it enough to pay for it, I guess. But I'm sure it's like everything else. Eventually you'll have to pay for it to be able to use it. Christina, do you pay for yours? Do you use it enough that you pay for it, or you just use the free option? Or are there more options if you like more things you can use it for if you have the paid version? But yeah, Louise, you could probably use it to do the same sort of thing with your sewing pattern box. So it is afternoon, so the links and the coupon code are available now. If either of you choose to subscribe, those coupon codes are active. No pressure to subscribe, obviously. And then it'll be good till midnight tonight. So even after this evening's, yeah, Christina, I do not pay. Yeah, I don't pay for it either. I don't get why you would pay for it unless I guess you use it all the time. Because there was a post on Launcherbox about like, if I upgrade, which one do I need? And I'm like, what? I mean, I just assumed it was free for like everything. I didn't know there was a paid version, so I was really confused. So I'll bring this over here really quick. So this was the flowers we did on my Crackle. So you'll want to watch this, Louise, for like these techniques. And look at Our Lady. I decided to put red lips on her to kind of make the lips just really pop. And then I'm going to add flowers off camera because, you know. And then we finished the leopard. So we did most of it last night, except I painted all the spots in off camera because after you see me paint a few spots, like it's really boring to just sit and watch me sew. But I did show how to do this drip technique, and then all we did was paint the shadow in this morning just to kind of make that leopard really pop off the page. So that's all we've done this morning. I think I'm going to close this session out. Thank you both for being so supportive and commenting and watching. And it is really helpful to have people that are going through the same process, you know, that kind of show up for you. And yeah, the leopard, I think the lady's going to be my favorite when it's all finished. But I do love the leopard, that's my lead magnet right now is I made a phone cover or a phone wallpaper out of it, and that's my lead magnet. And I've had a lot of leads with it really. So it's been a good one for me. But I did, yeah. Anyway, I will see you guys tonight. I just realized the camera is showing upside down. Oh, I think it's because I rotated the view long ways instead of like I had the phone upside down for me earlier. But isn't it funny what you get used to when you're used to seeing things upside down? You don't even realize it until, that's why it looks odd. But anyway, hopefully, Christine, I'll see you at 6. Louise, I know that's a late time for you, so I will talk to you soon. Have fun, girls. Bye.